Hello, this is Craig Resnick, coming to you from the 2018 ARC Advisory Group Annual Forum. With me today is my special guest, Todd Gardner, Vice President, Process Industries and Drives Division of Siemens in the United States. How you doing today, Todd?
I'm doing great, thanks, Craig.
You know, digitalization is a hot topic across the industrial sector, as we all know. But what does it truly mean in the process segments like oil and gas and chemical industries?
You know, Craig, what we find is it means different things in different industries. So, you know, in automotive, where models last years instead of decades, we see, you know, a much faster transformation and, you know, much quicker adoption of new technologies. And then you go to companies like Pharmaceutical, the same thing. They have to be flexible. They have to be able to manufacture multiple products on a line. They have FDA requirements that, you know, causes them to need to do batch recording, electronic batch recording, and so you see them more open. Oil and gas and chemical, you know, things last decades. It's kind of an evolution. These plants have been around for 20 or 30 years, so, you know, there's other drivers there. You know, the knowledge base that's going to be lost over the next 10 years through retirements, you know, that's something they have to address. And, you know, one of the ways to address that is through automation and digitalization. They also have tens of thousands of I/O that needs to be migrated over the next years from older systems. And, you know, they've spent a lot of time driving down the cost of the product, but they still have a lot of work to do as far as big expenditures coming up. So, you know, one of the ways they can help with that is by condensing the amount of time it takes to do a project. So, you know, an I/O card might be as low as they can get it, but if they can execute the project in a shorter period of time, you know, using tools like integrated engineering or simulation, it might allow them to cut the cost of a project by shrinking it.
You know, are processing customers embracing digitalization, and if so, how?
You know, what we find is that the big customers, like we see at ARC, you know, they're on board. You know, they have executive sponsors, they have teams in place. You know, some of them actually have whole groups within the organization, and they have active initiatives that they're running to, you know, understand what's available in the marketplace. You know, what's the ideal state for them and what's the future state they want to get to. So, yes, I would say that it's being embraced, you know, in different companies in different ways.
You know, what are the steps, say, for example, for a chemical producer to kind of begin this path to digitalization?
You know, the first thing they have to do is they have to be willing to take an open look at themselves and you know, really come to grasp with where they are in this digitalization and automation process. So, you know, in most cases, they'll go out and through a consultant or partnering with a vendor like Siemens, you know, we'll do an evaluation of where they stand today. And I think what most of them find is that they've kind of evolved to where they were. You know, there weren't a lot of major steps along the way. And through this evolution, they've been acquiring more and more data, but they really aren't doing anything with that data. They aren't using it to make decisions while the process is running. So, you know, that's kind of where we are. So the next thing they need to do is, once they realize where they are, is see if they can identify areas where they could gain efficiencies, improve quality. And actually, a lot of cases, digitalization is good in safety, right? Could we do things safer by using new technologies and data? And once they identify that, you know, then they really need to pick a pilot and start down the path of trying to see what we can do with this new technology.
You know, as we wrap up here, what is Siemens doing in the U.S. to kind of drive this understanding of the benefits of digitalization?
You know, the first thing we've been doing is really focusing on what we would consider our key customers, our partners, right? You know, working with people that you trust and they trust you, because, you know, this is really more of a journey. It's not a sales guy with a catalog that says, here's what we can do to digitalize your plant, right? You know, there are things that are available today, there are things we're working on, and then there's things that we can work on together. And, you know, that's kind of how you go down this path, I think, with a partner. One of the other things Siemens has done is we've opened a digital enterprise lab in Atlanta, and this is one of 8 labs around the world. And the idea is to, we're taking actually ideas from our employees, but we're also sitting down with customers and we're coming up, what are some ideas of some applications that we could run on the cloud, on MindSphere, or even in some cases on their own, internal servers, to help them make better decisions as they run their plants. And the nice thing about this is if you think of a normal R&D project, if you're starting a new software project, it could take, months and years, and there's a whole process that you go through in an R&D project. Well, what we're doing here is we have what we call MVPs, and it's a minimal viable product. So we agree with a customer that it's important. We look at it, and it goes through a quick approval process that it's worth making an investment in, and we're talking about coming up with something that a customer can start testing in 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks. So it's a completely different process. And then I'd say the last thing we're doing is we're really trying to train our customer-facing people. I think we've made a good transition over the years from being product salespeople to solution salespeople. But now what we need to do is kind of take the next step and, how do we act as consultants to our customers so that, they trust that we can help them, take the next steps in their path down to digitalization. So.
Right, 'cause it's all about delivering the business value.
That's correct. I mean, if you can't measure it on the bottom line, then all it is neat stuff to talk about.
That's great, Todd. Thank you very much.
All right.
And again, this is Craig Resnick coming to you from the 2018 ARC Advisory Group Orlando Forum. Thank you very much. Have a great day.